Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Brianna. I will start with what inspires you. Anyone in the room can answer. You just throw out anything. Okay, children, family, friends, church. Okay, friends. Okay.
Fatherhood.
All right, fatherhood. That's good. If you had asked me 6 years ago, I would have told you one word, and it would have been perfection. I chased it like it held the key to my worth. At 25, looking the part mattered more than being the part. I was confident, ambitious, and dead set on proving I could rise above every challenge I'd already crushed. But life has a way of humbling you. An unexpected pregnancy flipped my world upside down. And just when I was learning to love the idea of motherhood, I lost it all. On Valentine's Day, at the edge of a global pandemic. One moment I was carrying life, and the next I was sitting in a hospital bed, listening to the sounds of other babies crying just feet away from me, while mine never would. I was shattered, angry, alone. I'd done the right thing. I stepped up, I owned up to my responsibilities, I showed up. I suffered in silence with swollen ankles and 24/7 sickness, all for the dream of giving my baby the kind of life I'd never had. And then just like that, it was gone. And in the middle of all that grief, God whispered, "Write about it." At first I thought it was a cruel joke. I hadn't even told most of my family. Now I was supposed to tell the whole world. But the thing about pain is it demands purpose. And writing this book became mine. Today I stand before you as the author of Inevitable Abortion, a memoir that doesn't shy away from the messy, the broken, or the gut-wrenching. It's about a mother's love, yes, but it's also about grief, about being angry at God, about forgiving yourself, about giving grace when you've lived without it, and ultimately, it's about surviving the things we think will kill us. So if you ask me today what inspires me, it's not perfection. It's love, it's resilience, it's women like me who keep going even when life crumbles. It's God's love, even when I didn't understand it. And most of all, it's my two little girls, Harlem and Nala, who remind me every day that beauty can still bloom from loss. Thank you for listening, and I hope to speak more with you at my table in the back.
Call me Andy. My books are a journey of me redefining what fine looked like for me. It goes back 5 years ago, March 10th, 2020, in the middle of a sentence. I collapsed. My heart stopped for 38 minutes. After that, had a series of strokes, so I'm blind and deaf on my left side. I don't do things how I used to do things, but my book series is Healing Empowerment. It is me deconstructing what I always thought I was, and that includes to be fine. When people ask me how I was doing, my answer was fine. My daughter asked me that on the day that I died, right before I put her on the bus, and I told her I was fine. And my fine was overwhelmed, and my fine was stressed, and my fine was burnt out, and my fine was feeling of not enough. And as I went through my healing, my books, Redefining Fine, Finding Peace, and Trauma Bond, it is me deconstructing what faith looked like for me, what fine looked like for me, and walking truly in my purpose, on purpose, like He had always intended for me to do. Not everybody gets a chance at part two, and I don't think He brought me back to stay silent, so my heart is in those pages in the back of the room, and I'd love for you to stop at the table.
We were in the pandemic, and my father died in a nursing home, alone. Because see, back then we couldn't go to the nursing home. And I didn't grieve. I didn't cry. When the box went down into the ground, I let out a shriek, because it was final. I didn't grieve. I didn't cry. And then my sister, who I love so much, offered to take my mom home with her because my mother lives with my husband and I. And I thought, that's an honorable move, but I don't want her to take her with her. She did. Joyfully, I released my mother to my sister. And the next day, I went into my mother's room and it was empty. And I began to grieve. I cried so hard. But my mother was still alive. Why would I be crying, grieving now? And the Spirit of the Lord said to me, that's what you do to your kids. What do you mean? You see, I was so busy making a living that I didn't make a life for my children. And that's the story I tell. In empowering you, let go of the past. I have two authors. One in the room is my sister, who I talked about. She has her own story. We have an anthology, two of them. The first one is Empowering You, It's Your Time, when there are 9 powerful authors who tell their story and how they came from strength, from struggles to strength. One of those authors is in the back. Linnea Blizzard, wave your hand. She's one of those authors, and she's got books. And then the other author is Donna Graves, raise your hand. She's one of the authors. But the most powerful of all is that I have a legacy book. Not only is my sister and her story in there, and my story is in there, but my mother, who talks about having a life on a plantation, is in the book, Empowering You, Let Go of the Past, so you can step into your future. That's my time. I'm Brianna Smith.
My name is Barry R. Beck Jr., author of Barry's Mathemagical Journey. All right, so I need a little crowd participation, okay? So I'm gonna say, what time is it? And everybody in here gotta say math time. Y'all got it? Y'all sure? All right, what time is it? Math time. What time is it? Math time. I said, what time is it? Math time. So I get my kids started with their math lessons every day by going over what time is it math time, what time is it math time. And it really gets them going and excited about mathematics. So I've been teaching for around 12, 13, 14 years in Henrico County public schools and Richmond City public schools. I taught various grades, 1st grade, 4th grade, and 5th grade. And now I am the only male specialist in Henrico County, Title I math coach for Arthur Ashe Junior Elementary School in Henrico County. And through my years of teaching, I noticed that our kids truly struggle with mathematics, and not the concept of mathematics, but the way it's being represented inside of the actual classroom. So with that being said, I came up with my own graphic novel called Barry's Mathematical Journey. So the first objective, the first standard that they learn everywhere in Virginia is place value. So Barry's Mathematical Journey is about understanding place value through hands-on manipulatives, and just getting the kids actually picking up those base 10 blocks, those unit cubes, those reckon recs, and having them actually manipulate how they learn mathematics. So you can come over to my table. I can actually show you a couple of things that directly correlates with the story. And if you can pull your phone out and follow me on Instagram at mathmagical_journey. I actually have lessons that I'm teaching with the kids on my Instagram page that you can actually see. Thank you for my time. I'm right over here in the corner.
Hello, everyone. My name is Brian Johnson. I have over 20 years of mortgage industry experiences, held vice president's positions with Citizens, Truist, as well as Virginia Housing. But first and foremost, I'd like to thank my wife, my family, as well as Mr. Croker for allowing me the opportunity to be here today. It is a pleasure that I stand before you today to present something that's very deeply personal and meaningful to me. The Home Saving Bible, Retaining Wealth Through the Pandemic. It didn't start off as a grand scheme or a grand idea. It started off as a simple thought, a thought that many of you may not realize is missing. A resource that educates us that are experiencing financial difficulties, the options available to us to help keep our home. As I researched for this information, it became disturbing. I saw a wealth of information out there and capitalizing on our downfall through foreclosures, through tax sale auctions, through all the distressed properties. But there was nothing out there teaching the average person the steps or the options available to us if we was having a hardship and couldn't make our mortgage payment. So as I watched through my years of experience, I saw countless of individuals lose their home either to unemployment, to excessive obligations, or a reduction of income. And what was heartbroken is that a lot of us didn't know what to do. Either we didn't answer the collection calls, either we didn't know the right things to say to the servicer, or what we say, they'll get it when I get it, which is already in the inevitable, foreclosure. That's when I knew something needed to change. But it all started on September 21st of 2021. I was sitting in my laundry room, and I was watching a video in T.D. Jakes' sermon, and he said something that struck me to my core. He said, there's concepts within you, books that need to be written. And before I knew, I felt something stirred up inside me. A chill came over my body. And before I could know it, I was crying uncontrollably and shouting, I'll do it, Lord. I promise, I'll do it. With no control over my body, I'm sitting in the couch, and I'm just feathered to the floor, crying, exhausted, but yet at peace when I came out of that. I asked my wife, my children, did y'all hear me screaming, roaring, or crying in the lunchroom? They said they didn't hear anything. So that's when I knew it was time to write the book. I set a deadline. With the grace of God, from the time the first word on Rough Draft to the time it was published on Amazon, all done within 6 months. Everything appeared to fall in line. The cover designers, the editors, the proofreaders, the layout designers, everything to fall in line as if God was orchestrating the whole thing, helping me create my ISBN, incorporate the business, everything. So today I present you a comprehensive tool, a guide for anyone who is experiencing financial hardship, and explains to you what the mortgage company must do for you to help you keep your home. It also expressed the importance of you knowing your servicer from your investor. Just because you make your payment to Bank of America every day, that's not the investor. That's not who calls the shots. Fannie Mae calls the shots. VA calls the shots. USDA calls the shots, right? Freddie Mac calls the shots. They tell Bank of America, my customer call you and say they can't make this payment this month, or they had a car breakdown and now they have excessive obligations. This is what you must do for them. But a lot of us don't know. And that's why this book is more than a guide. It's a lifeline. It's going to take you through steps of programs that they offer, from a repayment plan to a no-pay forbearance to a modification. This book will make the most difference for somebody who's experienced a financial hardship or an impossibility of foreclosure. So I say to you, maybe you might not need this today. Maybe there's a family, a friend, a loved one, someone that's thinking about buying a home may need this information. Because think about this as insurance. It's best to have it and not need it versus need it and not have it. Plus, you may find yourself being the go-to person helping others within your circle as the mortgage expert. So I advise you to get your Home Saving Bible today, Retaining Wealth Through the Pandemic. It's over there at the Home Saving Bible table. I thank you for your time. I thank you for your support. Mr. Croker, I thank you for you. Thank you.
Hey, I am the Reverend Dr. Cecilia Brooks. I'm from Hanover County, Virginia. And I write about alternative history. The reason I call it alternative history is because first I found something out. I found out that there is a trick. Then the trick is on us. And what we're supposed to do is turn the trick back on the trickster. You see? I am from Hanover, but I wound up in Oklahoma because when I became a pastor in the United Methodist Church, they couldn't find a church for me in Virginia, so they sent me to Oklahoma. When I got to Oklahoma, I thought it was the they that sent me, but soon I got not bored, you can't say that. I started looking around for something other than just doing church. And I discovered this house that had papers all over the floor. And when I went in, I started reading the papers, and I said, whoa, this guy is a person that black people need to know about. So I went to University of Oklahoma. I already had a master's from Duke Divinity School. I had, a couple of masters before then. And I said, I need to study him. Well, when I went there, I did my thesis on him, and OU told me that I could not publish my thesis. See the trick. I couldn't publish my thesis because they had set the history. And when they set the history, my thesis would have changed the history. But this man was called the father of black democracy. This man was called Oklahoma's first black governor, but we couldn't talk about him because they set the history. I found out the trick's not just on me. The trick is on black America. The trick is on America. Because people like John Hope Franklin, they wrote books back in the 1970s, but they chose who they wanted to be the history, who wanted to be the heroes. They chose who they wanted to lead. He was president of the American Historical Society. And other people were presidents, but they chose what they want us to know. So when you see alternative history, finding out the truth, it means that as a grassroots person, as a person that came up on what had been that parents' plantation, I look for the real truth. I want the real documents. And then people started dying and families around America. Why do I call myself historical exorcist? Because they sent me their papers that their parents had to hide to keep from being destroyed. Like we're looking at a destruction about to come now of our heritage in America. Well, my job is to go back, find out the tricks, and look and find the history, because we got a myth. And the myth is that it's a myth of harmony, that all black people think the same about education, about religion, about society. And our job is to disperse that myth and tell the truth so that we can find ourselves in American history. And that's what I do. I don't do it for a lot of money or anything. I do it because it's time for us to have the truth. And once we get to the root of it, we can find ourselves and reinvent what it means to be who we are in America. And that's what I do. And I do it, and I call it Blacktown Books, because I'm established in Langston, Oklahoma, America's first distinctively black town, and we write books about us. Thank you. And I'm the only African-American woman who's graduated from OU with a PhD in history. Amen.
Have you ever found yourself playing the game of which fork is it anyway at a fancy dinner? Hello everyone, I'm Christine Carmichael, and I am the author of Dining Etiquette Simplified. My book is all about making those dining moments, those experiences elegant and enjoyable. I've mixed timeless etiquette rules with really funny stories from my hospitality days. Like the time that a guest tried to order sweet tea in the middle of a formal 6-course dinner at a 5-star hotel. And I had to explain to him with a smile that, sir, sweet tea ain't on the wine pairing menu today, right? But that moment really reminded me that etiquette isn't about being stuffy. It's about making people feel seen, respected, and comfortable. You see, how you show up at the table often mirrors how we show up in life. It's about being intentional. It's about being gracious, being aware of the people around us. And this book, this movement, isn't just for a select group of people. It's for us as well. It's for anyone and everyone who values putting their best foot forward and making an impression that's authentic and really true to who they really are. Listen to this. Etiquette is about respect and consideration. That's what I want you to remember today. Etiquette matters because people matter. Now, don't worry, it's not all serious. We like to have fun. I believe that you can be polished and playful all at the same time. That's what Dining Etiquette Simplified is all about. So if you're hosting a private event, whether it's brunch, tea party, or team building workshop, I'd love to bring some etiquette fun to your event. Together we can embrace elegance and graciousness, all living together. Isn't that what America is all about? So today we have books available for purchase. You can find Dining Etiquette Simplified here with me, as well as on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. So grab a copy for your personal library, or maybe for your grandson who's graduating this year, or maybe it's your daughter who just landed her first corporate job. Yay, you no longer have to pay those bills, right? Please stop by, say hello. Let's test your skills. Let's see if you can remember how to set the table. No judgment here, as a safe zone. And I want to say thank you to Petersburg Public Library, Mr. Crockett and your staff, for just doing this for us today. This is just simply wonderful. And thank you all. Give yourselves a hand for being here today. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. So my name is Christina Neale, and I am the owner of CN Graphics. I am also the creator and author of these two amazing books that I brought today, called Congrats Graduation Coloring Books. And I have a version for little girls and little boys today. And inside these books, I brought them up because I want to show you them. They have motivational quotes, like make it happen. Let me show you a couple more. Don't stop. And I'm going to show you one more. Stay positive, because that's very important nowadays, as y'all know. Got to stay positive in whatever that's going on in the world. I'm going to flip to the back of the book too to show you a little bit more. It also has, activities like connect the dot. And what's cool about these books, coloring books, they have also a certificate at the end. And they can be, colored by the kids, and they can be put on the refrigerator or wherever you guys would like for them to go. So the background on these books, the reason why I made them is because I know how important it is to be motivated by like your mentor, your teacher, your guardian, anybody, right? So, and even in your adult life, you know how important it is to have that. So that was the backstory on these books and why I wanted to create them. I also didn't color the little kids on the front and the back cover for a very good reason. Is because I wanted them to be as diverse as possible. I wanted whoever, whatever child that picked up these books, they'll be able to color it either to their race or wherever their minds took them when they're coloring these books. And I did the graduation theme because I felt like that was like a great milestone for any child. But that was the reason why I created these books. These books are available on Amazon, and if you're a Prime member, you get 2-day shipping. I also have physical copies today on my table with QR codes. But thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Daniele Smith, and I'm the children's author for this exciting book, Lou the Lefty Lioness. Now I'm gonna have a poll and I'm gonna ask you a question. Raise your hand if you've ever been picked on for being different. I'm pretty sure it's for a lot of you. But I just want to tell you about this simple story and the motivation behind why I wrote this book, Lou the Lefty Lioness. Lou is about this cub, but it's inspired by my grandmother that I never got to meet. She was able to hold me when I was a baby, but I never got a chance to meet my grandmother. So her name was Lou. That was her nickname. And so I wanted to honor her and also honor my mother on Mother's Day 2 years ago by writing a special book about her mother, my grandmother. Also, I wanted to reach out and talk about being left-handed. I don't know if there's any other lefties out here, but growing up in school, I see some out there. Growing up in school, I had one of those L-shaped desks. And let's just say it wasn't on the left side. And so I had to learn how to write with my right hand, because my left hand would be very, very uncomfortable trying to write my letters and try to form words. And so throughout my life, I always had to learn how to do things with my right hand. But if you give me a basketball, if you give me a football, if you give me a baseball, if you give me a soccer ball to kick, I will always use my left side. And so that is the inspiration behind my book, Lou the Lefty Lioness. It's a story about a cub, Lou, who was the only left-handed cub in her entire pride. But like most of us who got picked on for whatever, you may be a Dallas Cowboy fan. Get picked on for that. You may get picked on because you like sugar in your grits. But for whatever reason, in this story, Lou is being picked on because she is left-handed. But what she decides to do is she goes out on an adventure to find friends who love her exactly who she is. And so this story is helping any young kid that is dealing with problems at school. Maybe they're having a hard time finding friends. Maybe there's a parent who's a little weary about taking their kid to school next year. This is the perfect book for you to help your child, your grandchild, your niece or nephew, or any young kid that you care about, the importance of having friends and also being able to overcome your obstacles. I have plenty of copies out here with my beautiful wife who came out to support me today. But come on out and look at this book, Lou the Lefty Lioness. I'm sure your child will enjoy it. So I want to thank Mr. Frazier and the Public Library for this opportunity. And just remember to be great and be kind, but most importantly, be you. Because there are going to be friends out there that will love you for exactly who you are. God bless.
I am the author of both children's books and poetry. So I'm going to share actually a poem from the book for you guys, just to kind of change up the tone a little bit. Brownie points. Hello Mojave and Maple Brown Sugar Queens. Did you receive that? Or did you look down to the ground as if the greeting did not apply? And to my chestnut and caramel mocha, deep black and heavy honey kings, did you chuckle? Or did you reject my respect of your rich complexion? You see, brown is a powerhouse. Well before brown-skinned girls and before Kamala wore pearls, this color does not beat around the bush. The foundations of your homes grew from the brown ground covered by brown dirt deep enough to support its weight in gold. Symphonies are performed with instruments boasting your beautiful brown. Guitars, violins, pianos, and drums, all shining and showing just how complex you are. Listen closely, that melody is you. Every day America runs on Starbucks, deep brown coffee grounds that even the lightest creams can't remove. Macchiatos and mocha lattes with caramel drizzling, baby, that's you in that cup. The brown sugar on candy yams and that homemade gravy giving us life at its sight, baby, that's you too. And don't get me started on chocolate, y'all. Hot, cold, or frozen, spread around or drizzled over, we will tickle your taste buds every time. Every freckle and mole on your face, kissed by age and perfectly placed, wouldn't contour your cheekbones in any other shade. The iris of your eyes catches me by no surprise to be a bodacious and flirtatious shade of brown. You see, your brown is beautiful. As a matter of fact, it's delicious. So the next time I greet you with, hey, my cashmere, canvas, brown, midnight mahogany people, just snap your fingers, please. And to all my cinnamon toast crunch, buttercream croissants, drizzle with agave, just lick your lips, because that's you too. Thank you. just one poem from Buttermilk Biscuits. It is feel-good poetry that hugs your hips after it leaves your lips. There are some women's empowerment poetry in here as well about recovery, relationships, resiliency. It's all in this poem here. And then, of course, I do have children's books as well. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Dawnyshia Griffin and I'm 30 years old. I say that because I didn't plan to be 30 years old. I didn't plan to be here alive on this planet just a few years ago. I have struggled with suicidal ideation for a substantial portion of my life. And one of the things that I found in my struggle is that I am not alone. There are many people who carry this struggle. There are many people who carry the mental health challenge and the burden that it can cause. And what I wanted to do was craft my story in such a way that we are able to connect with others and then also inform practitioners who sometimes don't have the firsthand knowledge necessary to treat the patients that they're supposed to serve. So the book is called 60 Days, and it follows a protagonist through 60 days of dealing with suicidal ideation. This topic is extremely important to me because I know firsthand that we can save lives. Just because we have these thoughts does not mean that we have to succumb to these thoughts. And now at 30 years old, I can say that not only am I happy to be alive, but every day as a registered nurse, I am able to positively impact my patients. And I know that my journey can help inform others, and I hope that it will help other people connect with this story too. Please come by and stop by the gallery. Thank you so much.
Hello, I am Denise LaJuan Peters. And when I knew that they were going to move me from the back hallway and be able to be in the exhibit room, my first thought was, you mean I got to talk? So I asked my author friends, what do I say? And they gave me 3 things. They asked me, who are you? Why do you write? And what do you write? So for first, who am I? I am a teacher. I live in Central Virginia. And I'm in a small Christian school, which means you never know what you're teaching. So I'm supposed to be Bible, because I have a theology degree, and middle school math, because I have a business degree. But this year I've got trigonometry, algebra 2, government, what a year to teach government. I've got math, and I've got an English class. So you find that whatever your background is, business major, theology masters, and I worked for the government for 3 years, all of that's going to come back and haunt you when you get older because the Lord's going to put it to use. For why I write, that's a more funny inspiration. Have you ever read the tests that students take? They're kind of boring. And when they give you sentences that they have to deal with, those are kind of boring too. But it kind of comes to light when they're reading and they realize you put all your students and the work they're doing and their names appear and weird things happen to them. Maybe the teachers went on a hunting trip and some of the students might have gone missing. And that kind of thing got me started writing until I was on a field trip and had all these students just sprawled out, no grace about them on the floor, and I thought, you guys are just like a pack of animals. You're like dragons. And I write my books about people that can turn into dragons. So that goes right into what I write. My epic novel was set in medieval Africa. And people read it and said, there is too much in here. It's too complicated. There are too many people. You are not Charles Dickens. So I looked up Charles Dickens, and you know, he wrote books with lots of people, really intricate, and people know who he is today. So I thought, you know, I'm going to do what he did. I took my novel, and I'm chopping it up, and he just put out something every few weeks. He put a chapter or 2. Well, that's what I'm doing. And my first book is In Goonies Trade. It takes place in medieval Africa, And I do have my dragon people, but my books are about family. So you find there's a Bible verse that says, God sets the solitary in families. And I'm going through looking at different families, and I'm taking them through this medieval kingdom of Great Zimbabwe. And did you know, I'd never heard of Great Zimbabwe, this great medieval city. All these achievements that Black people have done, never heard about it till I had to teach world history. And so that information, all that background in that world history class was my inspiration, along with my students, for my series. They're called Tananim Tales. Tananim is Hebrew for dragons, and that's what my books all have. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Much respect and love to all the other authors that are here today. Congratulations. My name is Edward Goode, and I'm the author of Audacity. I'm seated over here just to the left of me. Every story has a beginning. Mine started with this badge. I wore this badge. Actually, I worked in Petersburg for 3 years as a police officer, sworn to serve and protect. But life has a way of flipping your script. These handcuffs, they weren't just tools for the job anymore. They became a cold, metal reminder that I wasn't immune to failure or consequence. I went from keeping the keys to being locked behind them. But inside that prison, God whispered to me in a cell. If you can picture yourself inside of a bathroom, locked in there, that's the size of the cell I was in. And he said to me, "Do you hear me now?" I saw him. I felt him. It still brings me chills today, because that very moment, silence of shame sparked the most powerful thing I've ever experienced, and that was transformation. Ended up serving a year in federal prison after 17 years of an exemplary special experience as a police officer and a corrections officer. And so my book is all about transformation. It's about failure. It's about fatherhood. It's about family, love, tears, that I still today sometimes, after so many years, continue to push back as I speak and share my story. So it's authentic, it's real, and it's a story for everyone. Today is a little extra special for me. I know I got a couple minutes, Mr. Crocker. Mr. Crocker and I used to play basketball together in YMCA back when I was a police officer. He used to beat me up then, so I'm not going to do that now. So my grandfather was the first Black city councilman in Petersburg. So when I failed my ancestors, I failed my roots. I took it for granted because I was very good at some of the things I was able to do that others weren't able to do. And I took those gifts from God and used it for my own benefit. I graduated from Virginia State University. I was a 4-year starter in football. A lot of things come to me easily, and I lost my way. My mother and father are actually from Petersburg, Virginia. My mother's from Bunker Hill. I think that is Bunker, and my father's from the Heights. So if you know anything about Petersburg, I got a little bit of both sides of that spirit in me. But I was born and raised in metropolitan Washington, D.C. So this is very special for me, and I speak about it in my book often about redemption and coming full circle. And I'm so appreciative and I'm so thankful. Arrogance, narcissism, overly confident was all the walk of me. Inwardly, but not outwardly. From the outside, you wouldn't see it, but God knows your heart and He knows your thoughts. So I'm very thankful to be here today, to stand before you and present my book. I'm very thankful for Mr. Crocker. I'm thankful for Mr. Frazier from Resist Booksellers. And also, I'd like to give a shout out to my publisher, where is she? Somewhere filming something. Sharon Oliver from CEO Publishing, there she is in the back showing the camera, who made this all come to life for me. So thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you, and God bless you all. Hey, man, I didn't even show all my book up. So. Thank you.
Dr. Elizabeth Willis from Queen Elizabeth Collections. God has given me books to write. One is about women who are hurting. A lot of women are walking around hurting inside. And so God, I had to deal with loss of loved ones, 4 back to back. And I should be in a mental institution, but I gave it to the Lord. And so he told me to write this to women who needed help, needed healing, needed restoration. And so in this book, you will find about being your mind being transformed, bleeding in the pews. Some people are in the church and they're bleeding and no one is helping them. And so it talks about a silent cry. Many people, as I said, they look good on the outside, but on the inside, they're hurting. So they need to let go of the past and begin over. So this book is called Healing Wounds Within to Unlock Your Purpose. We all have a purpose in life, and it is through Jesus Christ. And so God has given me this to bring healing and strength to uplift women, to let them know that they have a purpose to fulfill. And so I have this. And then I have a book called I Am Strong, I Am Royalty. I work in the public school system in Richmond, and I am a reading interventionist, and where I help children who do not know how to read. And it's sad to see kids in the 2nd and 3rd grade, they don't know how to read, they don't know how to write. But this is to give them encouragement to know that their skin color is beautiful, their hair is beautiful, that they have a lineage, a heritage, that kings and queens, they are birthed out of kings and queens. If they would just know the history, and they have dreams and aspirations that they need to know that they can make it. And so that's why I have this book, to let them know, to encourage them, to uplift them, and strengthen them. That's all. Thank you.
My name is Jamice Lee, and I'm an educator. I've been in education for over 10 years. And something was missing in the books and read-alouds that we had in elementary school, and I wanted to do something about it. It was the representation. I didn't see us. I didn't see situations that people I know have been through, and I knew the kids that I taught didn't see that either. So I came up with my book, and it's called Trauma Queen, if everyone can see it. And if you know anything about me, you know that I'm a tough teacher, but I love my kids hard. And so this book tells a story of one of the students that are in a classroom, and she is a mess. She's tearing up the classroom, she's flipping over desks, she's handling herself in all the worst ways, but we don't know why. And one of the characters in my book, Taylor, she actually takes the time to get to know this student and understand what she's been through. She's been through some trauma. And I understood as an educator that if my students could see themselves in their books, you know, mirrors, windows, that's what books are supposed to be, then they would start loving reading and have a passion for it like I do, so that they understand that reading is not just a school skill, it's a life skill. And it builds everything that we are built on. So this is one book in my series of books that are coming. They are to be used as teaching tools. I even have lessons in the front of the book that teachers can use, that you can use if you want to use them as questions that you can pose to the people or the young people that you're reading these to. So you have conversations with them about their traumas, things they've been through. Sometimes they're micro traumas, sometimes they're major traumas, but either way, we know everybody's going through something, and this book is a mirror or a window for children to see themselves and know that they're not alone. So if you want to come out, I'm in the back table there. I have some books for sale. It's also available on Amazon. But I hope you at least come have a conversation about this, because this is an important thing to touch right now, especially with a lot of things these kids are going through. So I appreciate your time and your effort for letting me be here and being amongst all these amazing Black authors. I'm so thankful for my friend Barry Beck, who introduced me to this and told me to come out today for this. So I appreciate you all so much, and thank you for letting me be here.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jodea Minor-White. I am the lead author at Novels by Jodea, LLC. I do pretty much what's called contemporary fiction. I'm multi-genre. I do drama, I do crime, I do murder mystery. In June, my first horror book will be coming out. So hopefully that'll really make myself buckle down and finish that up. But what I do is more of a literary escape. And I came about because I had a nephew that used to read like those thick Harry Potter books, and he could knock that out in 2 days. And he read the whole series. And I was like, well, why do you read so much? He was like, because when I read, I can go anywhere. So what I did is I took some of my past experiences and I decided to write them, but then I also had added to myself, what's the worst that could have happened? Then came the advent of my first book, which is called Sunday Christian, set in the fictional town of the Bellingham Estates. And then we have Careful What You Pray For, which is my first murder mystery. A prosecutor gets more than she bargains for when she sets her sights on the county's newest detective. And that is set in the fictional town of, I'm sorry, I'm having a moment. It's set in a fictional town set outside of Greenville, North Carolina, if anybody is familiar. East Greenville, home of the Pirates. But they're set right outside of there, next to the Tar River. And so if you want a quick read, a literary escape to get away from all of the goings on that's happening around us, to get a quick distraction, you can come on over to my table. We also have wine glasses for your, if you want to do a little bit of sipping and reading. And we also have mugs for the people who don't drink and they rather have their tea while they get some tea. So if you just want a quick jaunt over here to Novels by Jodea, I'm in the back corner. Thank you all again for having me. And I did want to shout out one person. I know I got my time. Miss Antonia Robles. I have a lot of other projects going on, and anytime I come through, she is always there to lend a helping hand. She's always in the background like she is today. But she plays a major part to keep this library going. And when I've had out-of-town guests, they always give Petersburg Library so many compliments because the first thing they say is, I've never seen a library like this before. So thank you all very much, and come over and see.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am author J.T. Terry, but also attorney J.T. Terry Mapp. And to piggyback off of what Ms. Battle said, I am an estate planning attorney as well. And I also host seminars here at the library. But let's talk about the book. My book, A League of My Own, I started writing it in 2020, postpartum. Had an 8-month-old baby. You know those COVID babies were different. So, during that time we were isolated. And, starting probably, I had him in April, so his birthday is coming up, he'll be 5. And, we just weren't around family members. So I spent a lot of time on my maternity leave watching Equalizer, watching anime, and, just watching a lot of thriller and mystery movies. So even with that time, we were leaving the Trump era and we're back in it, unfortunately. But I said, I want to write a book. So I started having these dreams, and God will come to you in dreams. And I started having these dreams. I'm like, okay, let me go ahead and start writing. So I start writing. It took me about 3 years. But what I wanted to hone in on is that we as Black people go through so much when it comes to us being brutalized, when it came to us being killed. I wanted to write something that would give us a sense of justice when we read it. When we say, all right, we finally got somebody, we finally got a sense of justice. So A League of My Own is about a family of Black assassins. Because when you think about assassins, they don't typically look like us. So when I wrote this book, I said, okay, so they can't just be out here killing people. They gotta have a purpose. So their purpose is to protect Black and brown communities around the world. So anybody who targets us, they target them. And basically, you know, they have their own stories woven in, like the family started from Barbados. The great-grandfather was an assassin, and he trained his children to be assassins. They trained their children to be assassins. So it's literally a whole family, and they're working together to protect the world and to protect us. So they have a little comedy in there, because you know we don't take anything serious for too long. So, you know, you'll see yourself in this book. You'll see our history. You'll see Black Panthers. You'll see Black Wall Street. You just have, you know, history sprinkled in there so we can still teach while we're being entertained. I'm Jobyna Terry Mapp, and A League of My Own is my book.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Linnea Blizzard, and I am a contributing author in Barbara H. Smith's first Genesis edition of Empowering You, as she stated earlier. I was never intended to be an author. I'm not even supposed to be here, but God had other plans. Barbara H. Smith sent out a call, and the Lord said, do it. And I did what the Lord told me to do, and hence I'm here today. The book tells a part of my story for a fraction of my life. How I met my husband, currently on a blind date, and we've been together for 36 years now. So it's just many different parts and sections of my life. I'm also a tax preparation specialist, and I do a lot of financial things. And I have, in addition to my Empowering You book, I have a cash flow companion that can help you if you're an entrepreneur track your finances, your expenses, and things of that nature. But I'm humbly grateful to be here today with all you other authors, and I'm grateful that Petersburg Public Library has this to bring us together to allow us to put our platform out here. Thank you.
I say thank you so much for the opportunity to stand here and to speak to you all, and to all the wonderful authors. I salute you, and I hope and pray that I get to be the authors that you all are. My book is Trouble Don't Last Always. And when I decided to write this book, I often thought about trouble and the things we go through, and how we deal with the things that we go through. And I said, Father, if you just give me the opportunity to talk about and express the things that I have been through, because I know I have a story to tell. And I've always heard people say, you need to tell your own story. Don't let somebody else do that. And as you look through this little book here, I'm very passionate about it, because I talk about the power of praise in hard times. And you know we are having hard times, but we can make it through it. Seeing setbacks as opportunities. Just because something has gotten you back or has held you back does not mean that you can't move forward. Unlocking God's blessings through praise. We know that when the praises go up, blessings are going to come down. We know that we put our trust in God, that everything is going to be all right. Making praise a lifestyle. Overcoming the fear of not pleasing others. And how often have we walked that path, trying to please other people, when we knew that that's not what we wanted to do. Trusting in God's plan, knowing that what He has for us is for us. Never lose hope. So much is going on today that it's really hard for us to believe that things are going to turn out the way they're supposed to turn out. God's unfailing love, the quality of our prayers, praise as a lifestyle. Joy comes in the morning. And as I said before, regardless of what you go through, what you deal with, the people you come in contact with, trouble will not last always. And if you don't mind, if you stop back there where you see that big sign back there where trouble don't last always, I have lots of books. I'd like you to take one home. And when you don't have anything else to do, in your quiet time, when your friends are there, when your family is there, sit down and you all talk about trouble don't last always. Thank you.
I am author Healing Angel, and you may ask, what's a healing angel? Good question. Healing angels are people that God put in my life to help me get through some tough situations. And if you see, yeah, the book's up there. Healing Angels, The Invisible Girl is the title of my book. So the invisible girl portion is who I felt that I was. I thought either people didn't care or they just didn't understand. And I wrote because no one ever asked the questions. I was just that teenager that was causing problems. So I would say, if you have a teen or granddaughter, someone that's, acting out, ask the questions. And I would love for you to pick up one of my books, and I'm going to tell you why. I can remember my first novel that I read. The book was called I'll Walk Barefoot All Summer Long for You. Now, this book, I read it so many, many, many years ago, but just a couple of years ago, I started searching for it again because I wanted to find it just to have it in my library. And I was sharing with some students when I was subbing about the book. And one of the students says, my grandma has that book. So, I was like, okay, I guess I'm the grandma age. But I started searching for the book, and it wasn't on Amazon or anything. And with the help of the Petersburg Library, I was able to find that book. So I reached out to the author because I wanted her to know how that book impacted me. Unfortunately, she had passed. But you all have an opportunity today to meet several authors, read their book and let them know, some impact on it. I have two books here. One here, I'm sharing my story and my sister's story. On the back of the book here, there's a picture that I took in Buena Vista, Colorado. And I went there on a retreat to grieve my sister. And when I got home, I could see the silhouette of an angel. And that's when the term Healing Angel was born. Now this book here, Princess Wildflower, anybody remember the song Wildflower from New Birth? Okay, good, all right. Well, that was a song my dad sang all the time. He said he wrote the lyrics, they just stole it from him. But my dad taught me this two-step and, all types of things. And at my 50th birthday, he put his cane down and danced with me one more time. But I want to read with you on the back here to hopefully kind of, get what this story is about. Fairy tales don't always come true, but treasures memories do. Princess Wildflower and her father, which I'm Princess Wildflower, share a bond that was only created by God, a God that seemed to be distanced from her, just like her father at times. Although she lived with her earthly father and knew her heavenly father existed, she struggled with the acceptance of their love. She must learn to overcome barriers, accept that she is their beautiful wildflower, searching for the true character, knowing that both exist. Will she ever really know him? Quite difficult to answer. Read and learn why. Thank you. I hope to see you.
Good afternoon, everyone. So the book that I brought with me today, it's A Turtle's Day Out. So I was at my mom's house and a turtle came out from somewhere. And I get excited easily about little things like that. So I got excited. And it became contagious because my grandkids got excited. And you know how kids are, right? It's like, every question they ask you, they think you have all the answers.
No, I don't know everything about this turtle. No, I don't know where this turtle came from. No, I don't know where it's going. But you can't say that. So as they were questioning me and talking to me about it, I thought about the turtle I grew up with. And as I researched it, I realized, wow, I didn't take great care of that turtle. So as I looked, box turtles, and as you drive around, you see them hit on the road. And there are reasons for that. So it's one of the species that if we keep going, our children won't know what they are. So the book is more of an awareness book about box turtles, about different things you see in the backyard, and is created as an informational awareness, but also as a way for families to interact with each other in their backyard and to understand what's there. And as I wrote it, I really didn't think much about it until I spoke to someone and said, you know, you should publish it. I said, sure, why not, right? So years later, I went ahead and self-published, and it's just more of an awareness so that not only can you enjoy time with the little ones in your life, but you can also understand that sometimes we have to take that extra step to be aware and understand the different things that we do may affect the habitat. And if you know anything about global warming, a little thing like that just builds upon itself. And once something so small as a turtle is not here, I don't think we honestly understand the actual effect it will have once they're gone. Thank you, and hopefully I can meet all the authors. I'm just giddy to be here, just to be in the presence of so many smart and intelligent people. Thank you.
My name is Mary Day Sims, and I am thankful to be here. Mr. Crocker, I feel like I've come full circle because 12 years ago at the old library, when I first self-published my book, From Roadkill to Angel Food, so I went from this to the new version, same, everything's the same, I just changed the cover of the book. So I feel like we've come full circle, and it's just a blessing to be here. And I had no intentions of writing a book. A dear friend of mine that I helped her write her books to ask me a question one day. She said, if you leave this world, what will you have to show, or what will be here so people will know that you even existed in the world? And I said, my children. And she said, no, not your children. You need more than that. And I said, well, I don't have anything else. She said, yes, you do. She said, everybody has a story. And she said, everybody needs to tell their story, good, bad, indifferent, or whatever. And I said, well, nobody's going to want to hear my story. And she said, trust me, somebody will benefit from your story. And I am 75 years old. My father sold me as a baby for $1,200. And I ended up here in Virginia. And before my father died, I ended up bringing him to Virginia, kept him with me almost 2 years, loved him, respected him, and honored him just like we're supposed to honor our mother and our father. And the only thing he said to me, he said, I never have anything to apologize for. He never apologized because he sold me. I never questioned it. I knew I had a duty to serve, you know, to honor him as my father. But from Roadkill to Angel Food, God gave me the name of the title. And from my childhood, being growing up, being a battered wife, being just almost killed several times, it's all in the story, a journey of my life. And God told me I had to write the story exactly the way He wanted me to write it. So I thank you for this opportunity, and hopefully you'll stop by my table. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Myeisha, and I'm the author of the book Rejected. This is my very first book that I self-published through Amazon, August of last year. And the genre of this book is children's fiction, and the reading age is middle schoolers and up. So, just a little summary of the book. This book is about a troubled 13-year-old girl, and she's going through a womb of problems. She's dealing with the recent passing of her grandmother, a school bully, and at-home issues with her mother. In the midst of all this, she gets invited to a church camp event, and it's at this event that her curiosity for God starts and begins to kind of spark some interest. So as a reader, you get to follow her journey through that and seeing where it leads to. So with that being said, I believe all of us can relate to the feeling of experiencing rejection in one point of our lives or another. And it's not an easy feeling to come by when it does happen. Whether you weren't accepted in school growing up, you dealt with bullying, maybe you wanted to join a sports team and you didn't make the sports team when you were younger. Maybe you applied for a job or to go to college and your application got denied or rejected. I've dealt with rejection myself with a few of those examples that I just named, and I just want to say that if you have dealt with any of those examples or any other examples, the Lord is with you, and you don't have to feel alone when you do go through rejection, because when Jesus was here on earth, he dealt with rejection as well. And he really desires to have a relationship with all of us. And it's through this book that I speak a little bit more about Jesus and Fiona, the character, finding Jesus. And it was the Lord who really gave me the vision for this book. It took about 4 months to write. I was in college at the time, a junior. It was fall semester of 2022 when I started writing it. I wrote it down in a physical journal first, and then I typed it up on a Google Docs. And then shortly after, I revised it, and I held off on publishing it until I graduated, and I started the publishing process the beginning of last year. And it's God who's brought me to this point, and I'm very thankful to be here. And it's through this book that I want children to know that even when the world rejects you, Jesus never does. He's the same yesterday, today, and forever. He is sovereign, and he does not change. And you don't ever, like I said, have to feel alone, because he is with you, even if it may not ultimately feel like that. So, yeah. Jesus just wants an invitation, and this book helps show children and adults or whoever wants to read it how to give an invitation to God if they ever so choose to. So that's all that I have to say. See me if you're interested in the book. It's a very short read, and yeah, thank you for your time.
Good afternoon. My name is Dr. Nashayla Nelson, and I am the author of The Pivot, Recipes for Success. My friends affectionately call me the Dr. Chief because I was the first black female chief in Maston, North Carolina. I am a veteran. Thank you. I'm currently the Assistant Chief of Police in Portsmouth, Virginia, by way of Petersburg. So in my book, it is a compilation of talking about different roadblocks in your life that may cause you to pivot. We all know that March Madness is going on right now, so everybody looks at basketball, right? When your offensive player picks up their dribble, they have to pivot, right? Pivot to pass the ball, shoot, or do anything else with the ball. Same thing happens in life. When a roadblock occurs, how do you pivot? So in my book, I talk about a battle with cancer. I talk about battles with being a female in a male-dominated field, being a veteran, being a mom, and all the different things that can happen in your life. So I also talk about emotional intelligence. How can that help you in your personal life as well as your career? And I also talk about defining what success means to you. Your success may not be the assistant chief or the chief of police. It may be a CEO, it may be a banker, it may be a school teacher, but your success is how you define it. And in my book, The Pivot, we discuss how you can define your success, how you can make emotional intelligence work for you, and what tips and tricks you can do to move forward. So I hope that you all will visit me in the back or follow me on Instagram, social media, or check me out at nashayla.com. Thank you.
How y'all doing? My name is Nekondeh. I wrote a book about forgiveness, and it came because all of my life I have been really quick to forgive. When I was a little girl, my grandparents were pastors. My grandma was my Sunday school teacher. However, as with all PKs, y'all already know I was bad. And so, my grandma would threaten me that she was going to send me to my grandpa if I didn't be quiet and stop trying to answer all the questions in Sunday school, try to fight and bite the other kids or whatever I had going on. But I remember her and another lady, they taught a lesson about the power of forgiveness and what happens to you when you refuse to forgive. Even though I was a little girl, 9, 10 years old, my grandma had told me, don't say another word or I'm gonna whip your tail. And I said, okay, can I go to the bathroom? She let me go to the bathroom, and when I went into the bathroom, I prayed a prayer. And I said, Lord, all my life, I don't know what's gonna happen in my life, but all my life, just don't let me get to the point where I'm unwilling to forgive. I prayed that prayer as a 9, 10-year-old kid, and I had no idea I was gonna be tested on that prayer over and over and over again. I'm like, Lord, should I have prayed it? It's just like when they say, don't pray for patience, right? But I thank God for the journey. I've learned a whole lot in my 46 years, and so I was compelled to write it down so that I can help people get free, get unlocked. On the cover, I designed the cover myself because I didn't even know what I was doing. I just did it one night after I had a dream. I woke up and I did it. And so I decided to go with this because I believe that when we decide to forgive, we make it a choice. That if we just make the choice, God is so gracious, He will allow our emotions to follow the choice, whether you feel like it or not. But when you don't, it's a prison. It's like being locked up. And when you do, there's freedom. And so that's why I chose the cover design, and I just want to read a little bit of the back of the benefits to it. I asked the question, have you ever said these words to yourself? There's no way I can forever forgive what they done. Or have you said this one, I really messed up. There ain't no way I can forgive myself this time. We all been in them situations, but life can throw us so many curveballs that it can seem impossible to dodge them all and walk away unscathed. The Little Book of Forgiveness, that's the book, will give you first steps towards breaking the cycle of resentment that holds so many captive. Each chapter in the book, there's a challenge in it, something for you to do, an exercise, almost like a workbook. And it helps you discern what true forgiveness really looks like, to assess the benefits of forgiving, and to beware of the dangers of refusing to forgive, overcoming roadblocks on the path to healing, and to protect yourself from triggers that enter your mind when you're stuck in the past. And so if you don't do anything else, make the choice. You don't have to have the feelings or emotions. Make the choice, and God will make the emotions follow, and you'll be surprised the freedom that's in forgiveness. Amen.
Good evening. So my name is Shirley Scarborough, and the name of my book is Shattered But Not Destroyed. It's a mother's journey from heartbreak to hope. 4 years ago, April the 9th, which will be 5 years this Wednesday, during the pandemic, I started my day off with early morning prayer, and after prayer I heard God says, I am your certainty in your uncertainty. I didn't know what that means. It sounds strange. I wrote it down. I even posted it on Facebook for somebody. But little did I know that He was speaking to me. I received a call when I got to my office that the detective from Richmond wanted to meet with me. And I'm like, what do you need me for? I didn't commit a crime. He was like, I need to meet you. So I met him at my house, my husband and I. And my daughter had been murdered, shot twice in the heart. Well, I mean, now I understand what I am, your certainty and your uncertainty. Little did I know, I've always been a strong person. I never cried much. I didn't know what grief was. I see people grieving and I'm thinking, oh, by this time it should be done with, but it don't work like that. So we went through the funeral, this is during the pandemic, everything was hard. We went through the funeral and everything, and I went to clean out her apartment. And in cleaning out of her apartment, I found journals that she had been keeping for years. I started reading her journal through my grief. I mean, I was really grieving. It was almost like I couldn't understand it. Knowing God, I'm 65 and I've been knowing God since I was 26, walking the walk. But this was something just through me. And so I was grieving. And one night I had a vision and the Lord showed me a microphone coming out of the ground and told me to cry loud, spare not, and speak up. And as he began to give me the vision, I'm like, I know you're not asking me to be a mouthpiece for women and domestic abuse, because that was what her death was related to. I know you're not asking me to help save some woman when you didn't save mine. Just things like that. I mean, I grieved really, really hard. And it's bittersweet because this week coming up will be her death date. But in doing all that, I start really seeking God and writing down, just keeping a journal of things he was giving me, and reading her journals, I found out that my daughter was beautiful. I mean, she was like beautiful and inside and out and quiet. But I found out through her journals that she didn't know who she was. She didn't know her worth. And there are so many young girls that just don't know their worth. They don't know that God made them special, that they don't have to do anything different. You don't have to add nothing to you, that you are enough. So he gave me another piece. I have a nonprofit organization called Cry Loud, Spare Not, Speak Up. And we work with girls ages 12 to 17, called GEMS, and knowing that they are enough. I am enough. So, but this really took me for a loop. But what I found out was that there's always pain, but there's purpose to come out of pain. So no matter what you're going through right now, it's not the final destination. Your situation is not your final destination. I mean, God showed me so many things through this. I would never thought that I would stand here today and speak and even write a book. God says, I know the plans I have for you. And he has plans for everybody in this room. And it don't look like what we think it should look like. This was not my plans. I don't even like to write my name, it's so long. And you want me to write a book? And you want me to speak to women that to help save them and nobody save mine? And our plans are so different from God's plans. And so these books, I took journal inserts from my daughter's journal, and I started writing different things, and this is an interactive book. This book will meet anybody, wherever you are. Rejection, forgiveness, trauma, hurt, healing. The young lady just spoke about forgiveness. I struggled with it for a year. I started writing a letter to the accused or to the murderer. I started writing a letter to the murderer because at the end of the trial, there was no accountability. So I started writing a Dear You letter because I got tired of thinking of him every day. Him being at my holidays, him being at my dinner table, him being at her birthdays. So I started writing a letter, and I forgave him. I had to forgive him almost a year. So in this book, I have a 16-page letter. Every question I wanted to ask him, this book talks about forgiveness. It talks about a mother's love. It talks about rejection. It talks about grieving. Grieving is a bully. It's cruel. It just do what it want to do. Just take over you. And so this book is for everybody. And I just encourage you to get this book. Shattered but not destroyed. If you're a mother with a broken heart, get this book. I promise you that God is the only one that could put you back together again. He's the only one. He is the only one. If anybody had told me that I would be standing up here, because like I said, I would sometimes go to work and sit in the parking lot for an hour or hours before I could just get out the car. If I could just accomplish one thing, I did something. And it wasn't depression, it's grief. It's grief. And everybody's entitled to grieve. And so this book right here will help you get through your grief. It's real. When you read this book, you're going to feel it right here in the middle of your heart, the same pain. You're going to feel it, but you're also going to feel healing, because I feel like now I'm still battling with some things, but I'm well on my way. And I thank God, because I don't even think about the murderer anymore. I don't know the last time I even thought about him after I forgave him. So forgiveness was for me, and it's for you. Read this book. It's interactive. It's heart menders at the end of each chapter, how God will mend your heart, scriptures and prayers and things that you can do to move to the next step. So my prayers today is for any mother that have lost a child, or anybody that's grieving in any form or any fashion, because grief don't always have to be death. You know, and I'm gonna sit down, but in one chapter, I've talked to people that have been adopted, and sometimes, you know, you say you blame your mother, but I'm saying to you today that that's giving a child up is a type of grief. It's love. It's real love when a mother does that. And so read my book. You're gonna see so many things and so many different aspects of the way that you think.
Good afternoon. My name is Dr. Tia Palmer, and I am an author. Right now, I have written 4 children's books. The one here was one of the last ones that I did, and that is actually my 9-year-old who was diagnosed with alopecia about 6 months old. And so as he got older, and I watched how he adjusted to not looking like his siblings, not looking like other kids, not having hair, like eyebrows, he didn't have any hair. So just watching how he adjusted, I decided to write a book that basically gave him a voice. So it was explaining what alopecia is, what it can look like in different forms, and just saying, you know, like when you see him, it's not cancer, it's not sickness, that is alopecia. So it gave him something to say to people so they can kind of understand from a child's perspective what this thing is, because a lot of adults don't even know what alopecia is or what to think or say when they see people without hair. So that was one of the books, and then I have 3 others, and all of them I use my children as characters. So this was my first book, and this book I actually wrote, my doctorate is in education, but my dissertation was on females, like minority females in STEM fields. So what I came up with was that most women don't matriculate into STEM fields, and it's mostly because they are not aware of the STEM fields that are available to them or the opportunities. So this book starts with a young girl having career day, feeling defeated because she wasn't aware that women could do things that are typically men-dominated fields. And her grandmother walks her through, takes her to places, and it gives her perspective, shows her women who've done different things in different STEM fields and STEM careers. And then I have another book about a young child and how they interact with their body, different things that their bodies can do, and this is more interactive. And then my last is Number Slumber, which is a counting book. I had people that were saying I had 2 girl books, didn't have any boy books, anything for little boys, so I decided to do one with a male character. Basically a counting book, counting backwards from 10, which is an objective for students in kindergarten. Being able to count backwards from 10, but with rhyme and in a fun way, how we prepare for bedtime. So those are the books that I have here today, and they're all available on Amazon and Barnes & Noble, and I actually have 2 more coming out soon, so I hope you look forward to that or look for those. And again, my name is Dr. Tia Palmer, and I'm so blessed to be here. Thank you all. Have a good night.
And I'm proud to say that I recently co-authored a book, that book, Epic Empty Nesters. EPIC stands for empowering, phenomenal, inspiring, and courageous. The purpose of this anthology is to help parents or guardians heal. It's the personal testimony of 11 people who learned how to push through the pain until we found promise and prosperity again. Now, to anyone in the room who is a parent who's already an empty nester, I want you to think back to the day you left your baby at college and you looked in the back seat and they were no longer there. Or the day that you pulled off on basic training as you watched that bus pull off. Or perhaps they even moved out on their own to be independent. Now, granted, you were probably happy that your utility bill and your food bill was about to grow down, but the fact remains that your home was no longer where they lived, but now where they would visit. As an educator, primarily high school, I spent my lifetime preparing children for their futures. But as a mother, I neglected to prepare myself for what that would mean for me. I kept hearing, Rachel's gonna be okay. Tonya, you've done a great job. She's ready. But nobody stopped to say, Tonya, it's okay to not be okay. Or Tonya, I understand what you're going through. So let me tell you what I did to help me get past the pain. Parents are expected to simply accept the empty nester process as a part of life. But if you're anything like me, again, you didn't really emotionally prepare yourself, which is why we tend to feel lost. This is why the title of my chapter in this book is, I was lost, but now I'm found. You see, my daughter, when she left, her elevation left me feeling deflated. So for a while, I truly was lost, because for 17 years, her life was my life. When I chose to be a parent, I decided that everything she did, everything that she needed, I put primary, which therefore means I kind of lost myself in the process. But then at some point in life, I remembered the quote that I had introduced to Rachel some time back that said she believed she could, so she did. And that's what I had to do. I was strong before I had her. I was strong with her. I got weak once she left me, but wait a minute. I'm still that same woman, and that strength still lies within me. So Lord, if nothing else right now, I need you to help me pull it back and remember who I am in you and that you're in me, so we can get through this particular process or phase of life. And that's what he did. Now, I've come a mighty long way, y'all. I tell you what, I've gotten so good at being an empty nester. My daughter now looks at Life 360. What are you doing in such and such? Weren't you just in such and such state? Yes, baby, mama doing her thing. If you need me, you know where to find me. But it took a process to get there. So I assure you, my baby actually stopped by earlier. If you saw a girl in Virginia State University shirt, that was her. Of course, it makes me proud. But for parents, again, this became a transparent journey of healing. So my co-authors and I have been very transparent in this book. We took our emotions and experiences and put them in print in hopes of blessing someone else who felt as if they couldn't talk about their feelings but knew that they too might be feeling lost. Again, my name is Tonya Fullerwinder. The title of the book is Epic Empty Nesters, and I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Hello everyone, I'm Virgil Thornton. I am the author of many of these books here and also the owner of Weird Disciple Publishing. So when I was a young boy, younger than I am now, my mother would always instill in me the joy of writing. I remember we would go to the movie theater about 3 hours before a showing and go to the Books A Million right next to it and just read and read and read. And that probably wasn't very good for their business, but we did it anyway. And those were some of my fondest memories. And as I was growing older, I saw the fun and the joy in reading and writing more and more. And in middle school, I decided to write my first book here, Crescent of Darkness. When I got to college, I realized that middle school writing wasn't the strongest, so I went back and I rewrote it. And I was blessed while I was in college to actually study under Nikki Giovanni. I went to Virginia Tech and she was teaching a course there, and just the wisdom that poured out of her in every single class inspired me to continue writing. And so even though 2020 was a rough year for us all, I was able to hunker down and write a sequel to that first book, Tales of Vagary. And it was around this time where my mother decided to sort of recoup on all of that investment that she did when I was a kid. And she wrote her book, Transforming Your Reality. And because I had already had experience with publishing, I helped her to publish this through my publishing company. And then after that, you know, college and life and stuff got in the way. And I didn't really do a lot of writing. I was just sort of stuck up in the day-to-day. And I was fortunate enough while I was in college to meet up with a group of friends at Virginia Tech who also loved writing. And we met every week and we wrote a little bit, just like 15 minutes of writing, sometimes even 5 minutes, just really to say hi. And for the longest time we were like, we should put together an anthology. And I was like, yeah, that would be great. I was like, wait, I own a publishing company, why don't we just do that? So we put together an anthology called The Waffler's Anthology. After that, my lovely sister here had to deploy overseas, and we wanted to keep in contact with her while she was gone. And her and our other sister always talk about writing, but they've never got into it. They're like, oh, I can't write a book, this, that, and the other. And I was like, well, I've written a book. I could help them to write one. And so we wrote Black of the Mind together as a trio. And all this writing and things got me inspired. And so I went back to that original series that I wrote back in middle school, and I made a third installation called Woods of Awakening. And so throughout all of this journey of writing, I've just been so blessed to have all of these people in my life pouring into me, helping me to write these projects, supporting me. And I'm so grateful to be here. I'm so grateful to be surrounded by authors. The inner kid in me is, you know, about to cry because these are pretty much all my heroes that made my childhood special and made those trips to the bookstore with my mom so great. So happy to be with all of you here in this moment. I hope you stop by my booth at some time just to chat, maybe sign up for my email list. There's a lot of books here, and, you know, they all cost money, so I'm not going to ask you to buy them all from me. But yeah, I hope to see you soon, and thanks for listening to me.
Hello, everyone. My name is Winifred Summer, and I am a human resources professional. I actually call myself the HR darling, which the word darling is probably not something people would describe, you know, HR people as. But I wrote a book called The Toxic Job Playbook, and I want to tell you a little bit about how this book came to be. I actually started writing this book in the restroom stall at one of my toxic jobs, and I know you're probably wondering, like, what's up with that? It's kind of not the best place to start writing, but the restroom was actually like my safe place at most of my jobs, because it was one of the few places, specifically in the stall, one of the few places that I knew that I could go where nobody would, you know, come looking for me, bother me, be trying to talk to me. I could just have a moment to myself, and I would go in there and I would cry, I would go in there and pray, because I didn't really understand how I ended up in a toxic job. A lot of us think that, you know, it's somebody else's problem, it could never happen to me, I just gotta show up at work, do what I'm told, be kind, and everything will run smoothly. But unfortunately, for a lot of people, we end up in a toxic work environment. It actually happened to me 3 times, which is why on the book cover I have 3 red X's, 1 X for every toxic job that I had. So my book is broken up into 3 different parts. First part is called The Truth About Toxic Jobs. Toxic work environment is kind of like a buzz phrase, buzz saying. You know, a lot of people are talking about it without really understanding what it really is. So I define it. Some of my other titles are about toxic work culture, documenting what's going on in the workforce, when to go to HR, and how sometimes HR really isn't it. And when I say it isn't it, sometimes you can go to HR and report what's going on, and you'll find that maybe things get worse. And so you have to think about all of your options. You have to, see the value in yourself and know that you deserve better. Whether that's leaving that job, whether that's standing up for yourself, fighting the good fight. And then sometimes when you're job seeking, you can't find the opportunity that you look for. And so it may be time for you to create your own opportunity. We live in a time where there are a lot more ways that you can, be the change that you want to see in the workforce. So the second part of my book is called Let's Talk About You, where I give prompts, questions, and space for people to write their career goals. Tips for job seekers, talks about interviewing, and I have other books besides this one that talks about interviewing and resumes and things like that. And then part 3, I talk about some of my own work experiences, because I've experienced quite a few in my time. And then I have some career affirmations at the end of the book, because I definitely I wanted to use this book as not just a way to vent, but I wanted to actually give people instructions and motivation to keep going and find the work environment that they seek. So I just wanted to share some of these career affirmations with you before I get off stage. So one is, I am highly skilled. It's amazing how many people working in HR, but even when I wasn't working in HR, how many people don't believe in themselves and don't see the value in their experience, in their education. So I wanted to start with, I'm highly skilled, I'm valued, I'm getting better every day, I'm a major asset, opportunities come to me, I create opportunities for others, I have impact, I am influential, I am blessed, and I practice gratitude. So this is a great book, not just for job seekers or people who are just in a toxic work environment, but maybe you're an entrepreneur, maybe you're in leadership. It's important to make sure that you're not creating toxic work environments for employees. So this is my table up front, and I have some books. They're on sale, $10 today. I also do interview coaching and other things, so you can check me out at winifredsummer.com, but hopefully you'll stop by and see me. I'm really grateful for the opportunity to be here today. I actually came here because of a DM slide. So the library's Instagram account slid in my DMs and said, you should come out to the Petersburg Library. And I was like, it's like 3.5 hours away. I came from Maryland. But after, kind of going back and forth the DM, I was like, okay, I can come through. And I'm so glad I did. So thank you so much, everybody.
Yes, I'm here today, and we are having a fabulous time. I support From the Field to the Classroom. That's Dr. Shedrick McCall, and he has a very good testimony to give. In fact, all of the authors today have a very, very good testimony. This is a beautiful, beautiful event, and we should be rejoicing in the fact that we could give back to our community. This is something that is really wonderful, and being the first time participant, I'm really, really enjoying myself, and I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
Hey, this is my first time attending the event, and it's been really inspiring. And I found me a good read for a coach friend of mine, From the Field to the Classroom. So I'm really looking forward to getting him this, and I really do appreciate the opportunity to come and speak with the various authors. And just really a nice event. And I'm new to Petersburg, so what a great way to start off my spring and getting ready for summer.
Hello, my name is Danielle Alphonse from Richmond, Virginia. Traveled all the way to experience this wonderful author event. It's a pleasure to hear so many stories and backgrounds for local artists who are truly empowering the community, and I'm glad to have experienced this.
This is Richard Spence, R.A. Spence, the author of Empty Patchy Beard. I just want to give a shout out to Mr. Desper and his support and communication with me, and for this event. He was definitely promoting my book. He has definitely communicated with me and told me to be at the place at the right time. So, Mr. Desper, you're doing great things.
Good afternoon. My name is LaRonda, and I have had an opportunity today to participate in the Black Authors Expo here at the Petersburg Public Library. I am grateful to experience the authors showcasing and discussing the genesis of their work, and I hope that there are more opportunities here in Petersburg for authors to interact with their audience.
Hi, I'm Sharon Oliver, publisher here at CEO Publishing, and I was able to attend the event here at the Petersburg Library, and may I say that it was nothing less than stellar. The authors, the Black authors, came out in Black excellence. I want to just thank the library for such an amazing job for giving us a voice. Every story was unique. Every story had its own DNA, and I could not say enough about the planning committee, the marketing committee. It was perfect for all of the authors that came out.
Well, I thought today was beautiful. It felt really good to be in the presence of such empowered, successful, intelligent, Black creativity in the room. So to be in that number was a privilege. It was a beautiful day, and I hope that people will continue to support Black authors and do things like this that let the next generation know there's a place for them. We have our hands in everything, and there's information out there. So I hope people will continue to read. I still believe that reading is fundamental, and I hope that Black authors will continue to be empowered.